Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name's Tara. Today's video shows a project that began plein air at the Biltmore Estate just a few weeks ago. My daughter and son-in-law had gifted me a trip there for Christmas. And yes, the trip was a wonderful gift, but it also meant getting to spend 2 or 3 days with my daughter exploring, drawing, painting, and just doing things that we love. So we both drove from our individual locations and met in Asheville and spent the next few days exploring the Biltmore, drawing and painting, and just enjoying each other's company. The first day, we toured the house and the art gallery. The current exhibit is by the glass artist Chihuly. And while I wasn't sure what I would think about glass art, it was so much fun to see. It just is big and beautiful and abstract and kind of out of this world. I don't know. You just need to go see it. So the second day is the day that we did most of our painting and hiking. By the end of our second day, we had walked over 7.5 miles. One of the magical areas on the state starts just behind the conservatory and the formal gardens. The Azalea Gardens is what it's called, and to me it seemed like kind of like a beautifully landscaped and yet still kind of wild park in the middle of like a state park. It was just absolutely breathtaking. There are paths that wind all the way through it. There's little creeks and little bridges, and certainly lots and lots of azaleas, and they were blooming while we were there. Throughout our walk through the azalea garden, there was also lots and lots of birds. And one of the most notable that day were the eastern towhees, and there were lots of them. And they make such beautiful little chirping songs, and they also are very bold and not particularly afraid of humans. So I even was able to get really, really close to one who was really busy digging in some mulch looking for tidbits, and he let me get a video of him. Once we made our way through the azalea garden, we came to the bass pond. And we stopped at the bass pond and spent some time sitting on, I think they called it the boathouse, but it was like a covered dock. And of course it was very picturesque as well and fit into the landscape next to the pond in just a beautiful way. So we spent some time there doing some painting. I did a little gouache painting of an island that was out in the pond and some geese, and my daughter did a watercolor painting. She did line and wash, but it was super fun, and we got to chat with some nice people that were visiting, and it was just a wonderful experience. After we'd spent some time there, we gathered up our things and went ahead and hiked the rest of the way around the pond. And at the other end of the pond, there is a dam and trails that lead down and around this dam. And if you hike down that trail, you get to see, and you might have been noticing it here in this video, you get to see this lovely waterfall that's just spilling over the dam. And there's some drainage pipes and things, but there's a bunch of rocks, and then it carries off down into a stream. So we had a seat and got out our sketchbooks, and we both did an ink sketch of this dam and the waterfall spilling over it. The video here is showing when I revisited the drawing that I had started there on site as I was working on finishing it at home. And at the beginning of the video, it was showing me taking my micron and going back over my pen lines and adding in more, just more details, and also paying close attention to where the lines that I had quickly sketched that day a few weeks ago, paying attention to where those lines intersect and then darkening up those intersections, which just made the painting, even before starting to add the paint, it gave it a lot more depth and dimension so that it didn't just look like a bunch of weirdly shaped amoebas or something all over, but it actually started to make it look like rocks that have cracks and crevices in between them and that are irregular. Once I was finished with the pen work, then you can see right now I'm using mostly Payne's Gray and darkening up the shadowy areas that I saw, and I did take some reference photos, but darkening up where I saw shadow, and not just shadow, but also where the rocks were wet. And the more that those areas are darkened, it makes the lighter areas, like the two support kind of like pillar things, it helps them to come forward. It helps the curved back wall that is behind the waterfall, it helps that recede. It also helps my open white area that's representing the water spilling over, it helps it pop out as well. And when this gets towards the end, and if it doesn't show it all, I will add a photograph at the end of this so that you can see it. I do go through at the very end, once I've put down all the watercolor, I use some white gouache to add highlights and some foam and bubbles, kind of some bubbly areas, both at the bottom of the waterfall and then in the pool of water that in this video that you're watching right now. I haven't even started painting that yet, but you'll see that here shortly. So this was just, it was an absolutely unforgettable time to spend with my daughter doing things that we just both enjoy and love, and it was beautiful weather. We're just very thankful, very thankful for the time and for all the lovely things that we had a chance to observe. And I hope that you have enjoyed watching this. I'm going to say goodbye now and see if I can figure out how to add in some music for the rest of the video. But thanks for watching.